I'm going live on Facebook. Hi, everyone. It
But it won't
should.
store on that program.
I guess so.
I don't
I
think
don't
that
care.
matters.
All right. Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, as my dad would say. Don't forget.
Can you be clear that your dad is Hispanic instead of just sound like you're just a rude?
The camera's going like this, isn't it? Sorry, like this.
It is tilted a little bit.
Oh, well, you're just going to have to watch us crooked.
Do you want me to fix it?
Yeah. Do you mind? Yes, my dad is a Latino and he has an accent, and I just find it funny. Because he says things that just certain things that are like he'll call me and be like, "Hi, mija, this is your dad," which he basically said, "Hello, daughter, this is your dad." But who else is gonna call and say, "Hi, daughter"?
It makes me feel better. My dad does the same thing. He didn't call me daughter.
Oh, that's true. But he's like, "Hey, son."
He goes, "Hey, son, this is your dad." I'm like, I'm aware the phone said dad.
And you're the only son, so I mean,
I'm the only child, and I think I'm the only person he calls.
It's so funny. Anyways,
hold on, we got a camera fix here.
Oh,
tell me when.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. It's a little high, but I'd rather it be high.
Hold on a second.
Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. No, too low. Okay, that's good.
All right.
I don't like you to see my legs. I'm weird about that because I cross my feet and stuff all.
And God forbid anyone see cross your feet. Oh no!
I just don't want y'all to see my legs.
We also sleep in two separate individual beds with a space between us because I love Lucy.
No, we have a giant bed. Hold on.
What are we holding on for?
I was thinking about you this morning when I got dressed and I got ready to go. About how you say I have little skinny legs.
You do. You have little twigs.
I'd like to focus on my calves. So
Why?
let's make
Those
that my
not that great either.
Let's make that my focus area. I want to have some.
Why don't you just focus on my calves?
Oh, you got some calves like that, but that's what I want. Anyways, let's talk about some movies.
We apologize. We did not have a show last week.
We were very busy.
We had every intention. It had nothing to do with Mother's Day. It got done to the last minute, and someone was super busy with some work. I won't say any names, but it was her. And then we just at the last minute, we didn't have a chance to watch as much. So it would have been a show just about Doctor Strange and nothing else. Which we could have done, but then we were like, we're tired.
Mm-hmm.
So we just didn't. And then I forgot to post we weren't doing a show. So I know the three people that watch a show. No. I know the three people were probably waiting by their keyboards like, oh no, what's happened? Are they alive?
We're alive.
Which they're people we know, so they could have just called us and asked.
Well, they knew. We're
going to talk about, even though Doctor Strange has been out over like 2 weeks now,
let's talk about it.
Everybody and their grandmother probably seen it at this point. We're still going to throw our little thoughts in there. But we also I've got some random stuff I watched on Netflix that are older, but I do want to bring them up because people are always looking for things to watch.
Yeah.
And then we did see one of the newest movies this week and a few other things.
Yep.
So what you got, sister?
What do you want to talk about first?
Whatever you say.
We'll just talk about Doctor Strange. Let's talk about it. We're still not doing spoilers. We don't do that.
Yeah.
And all you people who do, you're bad people. You're going to go to a special part of the below for spoilers. Spoiler alert, you're going to be burning on fire because you're a spoiler. All right. That was a little harsh, wasn't it?
Yeah, you are right.
Because that's just so rude. Anywho, we're talking about Doctor Strange and the new movie Multiverse of Madness. I'm going to do this thing where he's like, I think I did it all backwards. It doesn't matter. Okay, how do we explain this movie?
It's a movie about a doctor who is strange, and he's gone mad in the multiverse.
There you go, pretty much.
For anybody that knows, we've been talking about the multiverse all the way back to probably more prominently in Spider-Man Far From Home, even though once you see the movie, it's not really a multiverse movie, but it is talked about that Mysterio came from the multiverse. But at the end of that movie, you realize that Mysterio did not come from the multiverse and it was bigger things. But there's been discussions of different things with Doctor Strange. If you remember also in Avengers Endgame, I believe it is, when Banner, is it Banner? Yeah, I think so. Banner goes back and he talks to, or who is it that goes and talks to the Sorcerer Supreme?
The Hulk.
Is it the Hulk?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she knocks Banner out of him.
Yes.
She talks to him about the multiverse there, too.
Correct. About how you create all these different timelines, but if you change one thing, it spreads.
Yeah. And then, of course, they did the animated series, What If, which was
so good.
The original series of What If on the comics was not a multiverse thing. It was just an opportunity to do new stories.
Right.
this one created this multiverse thing that when watching that show, you assumed it was just its own thing. This movie kind of says, okay,
I'm glad we had watched
some of
that.
this stuff is connected to that, or they took the ideas from that. And then you also have Loki, who dealt with that series, dealt with the multiverse, the existence of it, and all this was really to set up not only probably bringing in the Fox products that they bought, which is X-Men and the Fantastic Four and all that kind of stuff,
about it.
but then also it leaves things open. Like if they kill a character off, this gives them an opening to actually bring the character back by playing by somebody else or in a different way. You know, like we all know Black Widow died in Infinity or Endgame. So technically they could bring Black Widow back, but it not be the same Black Widow, much like they did Gamora in Endgame,
right?
Being a different variation of her. So it does make more options. My only problem with having the multiverse is while it gives more options, it also takes away some of the depth of possibilities if you get too excitable about using that and decide to say, hey, let's bring Iron Man back. This is Iron Man from a different universe. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but after a while it could get old. So hopefully they don't misuse the multiverse. So anyway, the new one is Doctor Strange. I thought it was going to be a lot more connected to Spider-Man. No Way Home, is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, No Way Home. I thought it was going to connect to that a lot more, since that was really the first full-on multiverse live-action flick we got. But it really isn't. It's its own thing. Yeah. There's like one line that says, yeah, I've dabbled with it because of this. But this story is really, and they didn't really deal with as much multiverse in this movie as I expected. They do, but they don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we see different multiverses, but but yeah, I mean, we don't get. I mean, I feel like we learned the science of it from the Hulk and Sorcerer Supreme, not in this movie. Like you do need to watch the other ones. I mean, I guess you don't, but it's helpful to understand their version of science. And I think even so, when you watch, what's the end game? Is that the last one? Where they're going back in time with the Pym particles and the time travel, and the Hulk is like, no, that's not how time travel works. And her,
that's like,
and the other lady, what was the other lady? The blue lady? Because the blue lady, Nebula and the Hulk are like, that's not how time travel works. And they're like, so every time travel movie's a lie, you know? And so they name all the, so I thought that was fun. But yeah, I think you have to understand their science of it. You have to watch the other movies, and we get into this.
And I'd like to say, when you talk about watching the other movies, this is something I hope changes soon. I love that they have world built.
Yes.
In the comic universe, right? I love when the characters cross over. All of this is like reading a comic series, but I'm really hoping that we're fixing to start heading more into a world where we start seeing more of the standalone stories again. You know, like whenever we get another Spider-Man, it's kind of rebooted Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where you could bring some of the same characters back that can build towards the same stuff, but they could also introduce this versions of Gwen or another Mary Jane or however you want to do it, you know, but have the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who fights Spider-Man villains. It's a little smaller, a little more intimate instead of everything
just
being
him and his people he's going to fight.
Yeah. It's like with the new Thor movie coming out. I know Guardians are going to be in there. I'm hoping they're in there very little bit, as much as I love them, because I want a Thor journey.
Correct.
You know, and that's what I thought was so great about the early movies is Iron Man was an Iron Man story. Thor was a Thor story. Captain America was a Captain America story. But once we got past Avengers, then everything became
team-ups.
Yeah, forced crossovers. Like you can't have Spider-Man without Iron Man. Then you couldn't have Spider-Man without Doctor Strange. And, you know, you couldn't have Thor without the Hulk. And,
you know what I want? I want a movie about Happy.
I think that'd be a TV show.
I think it'd be so fun, though.
You know, and things like the Eternals, it was its own thing. Eternals was fine, but I think Eternals should have been a Disney Plus series.
Yeah, so
because I think it needed longer to work with them. I've watched it a second time. I did not dislike it as much as I did the second time because I knew what I was getting.
Yeah.
But it feels like you're dropped into a story that you were already a part of and knew nothing about.
Yeah. Or so, that you should have known.
Yeah, and I think that needs more to expand on those characters.
I agree, because they could have made it much more dramatic, like a novella, with the whole twist at the end and all that. Like it would have been more.
And there was apparently supposed to be a whole thing, not getting too far off, but there was apparently originally an idea to have the Eternals show up in Moon Knight as part of the mythology of history with Khonshu and the Eternals fighting a battle with
That
one of
would've
the
been
original Fist of Khonshu's back in
That
the
would have
day,
been
whatever.
interesting.
Anyway, we're back to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange got his own movie the first time. This time, even though this is still very much a Doctor Strange movie, I was happy about that. It didn't come across as a...
Yes.
There's a lot of characters in it, but they're not all the ones we've seen all the time.
Yes. So
that's what I like.
That's some good stuff. We got some new stuff.
They did bring in America Chavez, and she's in the trailer. It's not really a spoiler outside of being the trailer because most people that see the movie have no idea what I'm talking about if you're not a comic fan.
Correct.
I'm
Like
a super comic fan, and I only know of America Chavez's existence. I knew nothing about her, so I had to look her up before I went to see it just because I wanted to find out what her powers were, what she did. I knew her look, and she looks just like the comic. I was afraid she was going to be kind of crowbarred in just for the diversity aspect because obviously she's Hispanic.
What?
But it actually, her powers actually fit the content of the story.
Yes.
So it worked well to introduce a young character who she technically fits all the marks because she's female, she's Hispanic, I believe she's gay, but they don't talk about any of that in the movie. She's just, here's who she is. She's technically from another planet, I guess.
A different world.
It's a different world. Something like that.
A different Earth.
It's not really a spoiler to the movie either. It's just a character.
A different. No, I think it's a different planet.
Yeah, because it's some other planet. Anyway,
Whatever.
Just go look her up on Wikipedia and you can know all about America Chavez. Because they just barely dabble, but she's the kind of character that I doubt she'll get her own movie, but she could end up getting a series, or she could show back up for different things. Or she could be the catalyst to connect a lot of different elements in the future for the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
And make sense and not be how do we constantly shoehorn a situation that opens the multiverse. You have somebody that can do that.
Yeah, that can now do it.
So what did you think of the movie?
I liked it. In a way, I felt like there was too much Wanda for me. Huh?
Not me. I was so happy.
I mean, I'm happy we got it. We've talked about her. We've got her stuff down. We know what happens. No spoilers. I don't know, man. I wanted more of these people.
I understand what you're saying. I wanted more of a Doctor Strange movie myself, but what I loved about the movie is while it kind of goes against what I was saying a few minutes ago, is I'm tired of them bringing other characters. They're two magic users that fit perfect in content.
Yeah.
And this is giving Wanda an arc that even a bigger arc in theory than the WandaVision show. Correct. That's kind of the setup arc to her real arc here from everything. Because we've been watching Wanda's arc, but she's always been the background.
Yeah.
It's a little snippet here, a little snippet there. It's like she's the seasoning story for every movie that's come out, which I think has been... Black Widow was the same way. They've all been getting these the females can't carry a movie mentality, so let's sprinkle their story arc. In this case, she got that full TV series, and it's set up to kind of evolve her character to the Scarlet Witch character that we know from the comics. This movie allowed her to just cut loose, be the Scarlet Witch in one of the variations that we know from the comic, and do something with her and kind of complete her arc, but also set it up to do other things.
Yes. Because
even though there's a definitive end to her character's arc, and if you know her, you'd be like, I guess we're done with her. But in reality, we're not.
You're never done.
You can do a lot with her still because there's been these kind of things before.
Well, and because we're discussing multiverse.
Yes.
So, we don't know if there are other versions of Wanda who have yet to discover their power.
Well, you're also dealing with one of, if not the most powerful character in the Marvel universe outside of Captain Marvel. And I still think Wanda is more powerful than Captain Marvel, but just in a different way.
Yeah, it's different. I wanted more of Mr. Wong.
Yes, he got a way bigger arc this time.
Yeah, I think, but that's what I'm telling. I wanted more of these people and more. I think maybe that needs to be a different movie. Maybe that's a Mr. Wong and the Temple movie. Like, I want to learn more about where did this all start? Who wrote all the books and the magics and the trainings? Well,
they talked about a lot of that in the first movie.
I know, but I want to see more. And I still want to know where he went and took Shang-Chi.
That's going to be for the later stories, I'm sure.
Either Shang-Chi maybe then we'll get more than...
That was honestly, I can say this because it's not in the movie. That is something I thought was going to be in the movie. Yes, I thought it was going to be like their big final battle or something. I thought it was going to open up and Shang-Chi was going to jump out.
To unspoil? We're unspoiling.
Yeah, it's not in the movie. So I honestly was like, okay, that end scene when he goes, we need your help.
Yes.
Was going to be like a big, almost like a Civil War ending where Wong was jumping around and grabbing different Avengers and characters and bringing them in. None of that happened. They did have a whole different thing. Most people already know it from the either spoilers
I
online
hate that. I
or
feel bad.
the
for
trailer
y'all.
spoilers, which I think is messed up.
Like I want to go watch this again.
And I'll watch it again.
Okay, great.
My problem
Just because we need a place with air conditioning. Our house is hot right now.
Did you go to the screening for this with me? Or did I go without you and then we went and saw the theater?
No, we went to the screening.
Did you go to the screening? Okay.
Yes,
I know I was at the screening, but I couldn't remember.
I sat up at the top with you. We had cookies.
I was just trying to decide if I saw this one twice or not.
No, we've only seen it
I remember
once.
now. You're right, the cookies.
The cookies. You remember
you
the cookies?
The cookies. The fact
you don't remember me being there, but you remember the cookies.
I remember you carrying cookies.
Oh Lord, that's marriage, folks.
What's really kind of surprising to me is I love this movie.
I liked it,
and I am not a Doctor Strange fan, and I
really started liking him.
Well, I've liked him in the movies, but comic wise, I've never been a Doctor Strange fan. So when the first movie came out, I was like, eh. And then it came out, and I was like, I really like that movie. Because until Shang-Chi came out, for me, that was the most martial arts movie of the series of the Marvel franchise. Because you dealt with Tibet and the Asian cultures and this stuff, and then of course you had Scott Adkins in it. I'm like. I was pissed he didn't come back. I'm like, why can't we bring Scott Adkins?
And we had a movie where Mads Mikkelsen was actually really good. Because
Mikkelsen's good in everything. He was good in the last movie too. He's just not right for what we already expected.
Okay, sorry, I'm being hateful on Harry Potter.
This one came out. I'm baffled because there's a lot of people are talking about that they enjoy it and this and that, but a lot of people are calling it like, oh, this is kind of a mid-level Marvel movie.
Really, I enjoyed it.
Really, I love this movie.
It's pretty big. You got some epic things happening. Some good fights.
The problem is this is a very Sam Raimi movie.
Oh,
and
so
if you're not a fan,
style,
if you've never seen the Evil Dead franchise, this movie is Doctor Strange in the Evil Dead world. Like it is very much like watching Army of Darkness, Evil Dead. But if you go back and watch the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, he directed those 3 as well.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, like the moments when he shows like the first time that Peter uses a spider sense, it kind of goes as he turns around.
Yeah, so I'm playing
then it comes back. He has a very
stylistic choice, but I think it worked well for this, honestly.
This is also, and Kevin Feige said, and I was like, whatever, they say this crap all the time, but I actually agree with them. This is also the first time a Marvel movie has delved kind of into the horror element.
Yes, which I loved those aspects.
Kind of creepy. It was kind of dark.
I think you see it in the trailer, that one version of Doctor Strange.
A zombie-ish looking thing.
I loved it.
And what I like, if you watched What If and you haven't seen Doctor Strange,
you got to watch all the What Ifs.
I was afraid that they were pulling too much from What If, because there's a lot of What If elements that kind of take a nod to or show up. And I'm like, oh my God, we're doing all the Marvel zombie crap. But that's nothing like what it is. It's something else completely, which I thought was cool. And why it was done was even cooler.
Yeah, no, it was so cool. I thought it was very good.
I
really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy the movie. I am glad that I did go back and watch Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and all those others. But yeah.
You miss a lot, and I think I made the right choice. At a time, I skipped Doctor Strange to watch some of the other stuff. And I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Doctor Strange the same day I go see the movie, so that it's perfectly fresh. I'm going to watch.
I think I watched What If the day.
I didn't watch any of the What Ifs. I ran out of time. So all I watched. I
just watched his episode.
All I watched was the Infinity War of Endgame.
Yeah, I watched those.
And then I watched Doctor Strange, and that's all I watched.
You watched Spider-Man with me.
I don't think we watched it.
I did. Yeah, you did.
Oh no, I watched it by myself, and then you watched it too.
Okay, well we
watched it. No, we watched it.
Y'all.
You went to bed.
Oh,
and so I finished it and then reset, and you finished it.
Spider-Man just gets me in the feels. That movie is such a good movie. Okay, now
I think this is also the other problem. I've talked about this. I've heard people talk about this. I think people were expecting, because as epic and as big as Spider-Man was, it was very heart-wrenching. It was deeper. It was heavier. I think everybody was expecting Doctor Strange to be heavy like that because of its content. It was, as much as it was a horror element, it was actually still very light.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. It had some silliness. A lot of people die in the movie. So for a movie to be as dark and heavy as this movie is, and the amount of people that die, it is still not as heavy as the Spider-Man movie.
No.
So.
Yeah, I cried again.
In what, Spider-Man?
Yes.
Yeah.
I cry at Spider-Man and I cry at Endgame. Every time.
Still to this day, there's only one sequence that gets me in the entire Marvel universe.
It has to do with Bucky, I'm sure.
No. I remember, I love all these Marvel movies, even the bad ones that aren't the greatest ones. I still love them. I love they exist. I love that we finally are in this place that none of us hardcore fans ever thought we would be in the comic movie world. But I've never gotten upset. I've never cried. I've never gotten, I had like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. But the one moment that still gets me even when I rewatch it, it's in an in-game, and it's just the one big visual when every hero is shown.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
At the
That's
same time for that battle.
That's when I start
because
crying.
that to me is the one moment I saw in all my 48 years of loving comics flushed into my head. I'm like, holy crap, they're all on the screen at the exact same.
Yes.
That's a splash page. Walter Simonson,
I start crying at that because the first thing you hear is like, on your left, and I'm like,
right.
Ah! No, and then at the very end with the shield, with him and
when he gives it away,
I'm like,
which is hilarious because you are so against. Like I think one of my favorite parts of watching this entire franchise has watched your anger, and how many times we fought about this, and how you've made a complete 180 and
I'm gonna watch all these again.
Love of Bucky.
Because I'm not
you were
in love.
Oh, whatever. When we finished watching Winter Soldier, you were full on in love fest with him.
Oh, but I mean, at the end of that one thing where he shows up with the shield, and Bucky's like, "No, he's here for you." Like that's how the best friendness of him and Captain America.
So here's what's funny about that is me and her argued to one of my favorite Marvel movies still.
I was going to ask you.
It's still Winter Soldier.
Movie? Really?
And it's because of I think the action and stuff is better than any other movie. The fights and the angles. I like that it's kind of a spy thriller instead of just straight up superhero movie. I think it's a little more grounded. I just like that variation of Bucky when he's seeing Bucky and Cap fighting and his badass look. And I don't know, there's just something about Winter Soldier that has stuck with me over all of them. And I just remember us fighting about screw Bucky. He's why are they protecting him? Stop saving him! And she was just mad that
I'm like, he's evil.
And what you just said is like, that's how the best friend. Like that was my argument with you back then.
He knew it wasn't for him.
That was my argument back then about Cap protecting him. I was like, that's the best friend is because Bucky stuck up for him when he was meager and weak and couldn't protect himself. Now he's trying to stick up for Bucky, and you're like, screw Bucky! And now we make it full circle. She's like, that's just truly the way the best friends.
Because he
knew.
Like,
that's what I've been saying from day one. He
didn't need the shield. He knew what's his name.
I know.
The shield.
Anyway, Doctor Strange is awesome.
Anyway, okay, so that one's still your favorite Marvel movie?
It is still a third. Shang-Chi follows behind it only because of the martial arts element. And I really wanted it, even though it's not the version of Shang-Chi I wanted.
Right.
I'm very upset that we don't have him barefoot walking around in a gi.
Yeah, because that's what everyone does.
But I will say I've been reading the new version of Shang-Chi, and I'm interested. I would like to see if they would do what they're doing in the comic, because it's kind of cool now, even though I still don't like his outfit. But I also know you can't make the original version of Shang-Chi. It's very racist. Because it was made in the 70s or 60s or whatever, and his father was Fu Manchu, which is now very not okay. So that's why in the movies his father is not Fu Manchu, and they pretend Fu Manchu. In the comics, Fu Manchu never happened. And it's a lot of the racial terminology for Asians in there.
Yikes. Well, but were there other people saying it?
Yeah.
But that does happen still.
No, I know that, but it was everybody was, look at this,
Oh, no, we can't say any of those words.
Yeah. So the movie I want can't be made right now. Yeah.
Anyways, all right.
Anyway, there's some.
I really like this one.
I know we're not going to say it because there are some cool spoilers.
So many great people
for the Illuminati element that is teased in the trailer. Some of them you already know because they tell you. But what I'm surprised about is, I take it back. I'm not surprised because the fandom are such a bunch of jackasses now. It's that everybody, like I've seen a lot of people are like, I was so disappointed with the Illuminati because it wasn't who they wanted. Like there's a whole thing that
maybe next movie,
we talked about it before, and there's a lot of rumors about it. Again, this isn't in the movie, so it's not a spoiler now. But there was a whole thing about hoping Tom Cruise was going to show up as Tony Stark, because way back in the day, before any of these movies happened, there was a lot of rumors that Tom Cruise was going to star as Iron Man in a movie. And so everybody thought it'd be cool to get a multiverse version of Iron Man and have Tom Cruise show up for like a quick thing as a nod to the past. It doesn't happen. And so I know a lot of people were pissed off. And I even read a thing about the writer who at one point said that was a discussion. But then I heard somebody else say, no, that was never a discussion, So who knows if it ever was. But I liked who they brought in. Was it as big as I thought it was going to be? Not at all. But it was still cool. And what was interesting about it, and the way of doing it, without giving anything away, because it's multiverse, this is my opinion,
Mhm.
is it was a way to bring in some characters and do some different things with existing characters to kind of put your feet in the water and see what people think.
Yeah.
You could completely recast anything they did, change it up, do whatever you want.
Yeah, because it'll be different every verse.
Yeah,
in
but
every verse
if people
you're in.
respond to it like they've been talking or how they hope, then they say, okay, we're going to use this person to play this person, or we can bring this person back to do this, because there's some new stuff, there's some old stuff, there's some existing things, and it's maybe not as far-fetched as most people think.
Well, because you've mentioned in the comics, a lot of those characters are actual characters that did happen and appear in
every
different
one of them.
stories. So
Yeah, well, every one of them, sort of.
kind of.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, in some version or another, without even multiverseness.
Yeah, and there was only one character that shows up that I didn't know for sure was going to happen.
I was clapping, y'all.
Yeah.
Every time somebody new showed up, I was like,
and it's been a fan casting
guy.
for years.
That'd be awesome.
So it very well could have still been, hey, this has been talked about so long. Let's do it just for the fun of the fans, because they keep saying it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be upset if that casting doesn't stick, because I thought it worked perfect.
Yeah.
I was against that fan casting. I didn't think it would work. Visually, I just didn't think that was my vision of that character. And it's still not, but it worked.
It worked.
And if they do one, they have to do the other part of that fan casting too, or I'm going to be very super upset.
Anyways, go check out Doctor Strange in the Multiverse.
And stay through 2 credit endings if you haven't seen already. The first one is actually leading toward the next Doctor Strange movie, which makes me excited because it feels like it's going to be a standalone Doctor Strange story arc that kind of continues with stuff from the first movie. Then the last after credit sequence is really more of a nod to Evil Dead fans.
There you go. All right, next.
Moving on.
Where do you want to just go in this direction?
If you want, unless you want me to talk about something that I saw.
I guess.
I think I saw a bunch and you didn't see, so if you want me to throw in one.
It's 2.
Did you just do the 2? You didn't do the other one? Okay.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't
I don't care.
on the
It's
list,
fine.
so
Well, it was on there originally.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just going in this
Why
one.
don't you let me get one of these out of the way, and then we'll go back to those,
Okay.
because that's going to be a long cut. So pick one.
Talk about that.
Okay, that one's an older one. So we're talking about it. All right, so really quickly, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. We're talking about this movie called Fistful of Vengeance. And it's a movie I've been excited to see. It's actually been on Netflix for a while now. I started it once and I had to leave and do something and I forgot, and I kind of finally went back to watch it. Obviously, from the imagery, it's a martial arts flick. It's got Iko Uwais, it's got Louis Tan. Louis Tan, most of you would know from Mortal Kombat. He played Cole. The new one, he was also Shatterstar in Deadpool 2. Super nice guy. I've talked to him on Twitter a couple times, especially when I was complimenting him in Shatterstar. I got a message back from him. Iko Uwais is from The Raid. But this isn't just another straightforward karate movie. This is a movie that spins off from the Netflix series Wu Assassins.
Oh.
So they made a series, Wu Assassins, had the same cast, and also Martin Dacascos. It's kind of a supernatural martial arts flick. The Wu Assassin is all about Iko Uwais becoming the Wu Assassin. And then I guess instead of doing a season 2, they did this spin-off movie. So it's basically follows the characters after the end of that movie, and they're kind of on their trying to finish up their mission or journey or whatever. So you need to watch Wu Assassins first. You're not going to know what they're talking about half the time because they keep talking about the Wu Assassin and this, Wu Assassin that, and you're going to be like, what the hell is a Wu Assassin? But it kind of has things, where like they hit people and they have some power sometimes.
That's cool.
And, the movie itself is okay. It's not bad, but it's not great. But the fighting is awesome 90% of the time. You also have some bad guys that always deliver great fighting. Louis Tan's awesome martial artist. His dad, I believe it was Louis Tan. Yes, pretty sure. Let me double check to make sure. But Iko Uwais from The Raid, you've seen him fight. He's the one that does the badass hallway fight scene.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the lead, but this in the series this time around, him and Louis Tan and this other guy are the kind of the co-leads, if you will. And what are you doing? Oh,
nothing.
I'm trying to double check to make sure I don't lie to you about his dad, because I always found this interesting, which I didn't know until I talked to him later. Yes, okay. So his dad is Philip Tan, who most people would know him from. He was a big time martial arts stuntman thing, but he was most notably for me was from Batman.
No,
he's the one in the hallway, the alleyway where he's like, and he's swinging swords and he's fighting and he's jump kicking. That's Louis Tan's dad.
That's cool.
So getting to see that he's like kind of following his dad's footsteps, but he's like a starring leading man doing stuff. I think is kind of cool.
That is cool.
But the movie's full of action, fights, and gunfights, and all that kind of stuff. So if you like Wu Assassins, check out Fistful of Vengeance on Netflix now. If you've never seen Wu Assassins, don't be stupid. Go watch Wu Assassins and then watch Fistful of Vengeance on Netflix right now.
You're funny.
It's equal your ways. Louis Tan, get your life together.
All right then. Next.
It's even got what is his name?
Go watch. You're just so funny.
It's also got, if you're really on the lookout, hold on, I gotta remember, I want to say the guy's name right. He is what I call the Tony Jaa lookalike. He's not a Tony Jaa lookalike, but he starred with Tony Jaa in a couple of things. And what is his name? Where is he at? I know his name's Quack. He's not going to show up. Come on, man. Anyway, never mind. But he's the guy that does the if you've seen Ip Man 3, the Muay Thai fighter that Ip Man fights in the elevator. You even remember what I'm talking about? Remember he protects his wife and he's fighting that Muay Thai guy in the elevator?
Yes.
That guy.
I'm back.
Yeah, that guy shows up in there as like one of these super powered villain characters. So you get to see him Muay Thai fighting. And
that's cool. Everybody was Muay Thai fighting. Do.
I'm bothered because now I got to find it. I follow him I'm friends with him on Facebook, and now I can't find him.
Facebook?
Yeah, never mind.
Well.
Anyway, he's there. Watch Fistful of Vengeance on Netflix now. I'm ill prepared.
There you go. All right. Moving on. All right. Today we're talking about the new Firestarter.
And we dive back in and watch the original.
We watched the original 80s, too,
starring one of your favorites,
Miss Drew Barrymore. There she is as a child Firestarter. So this is based on the book by Stephen King.
It's Stephen King.
And we did watch both of them back to back. We actually watched the new one first, then we went and watched the original. So let's talk about the new one first, and then we'll go in the same order. So it's interesting that both of the movies focus really on different sections of the story, pretty much. The story's the same, so they did follow the book.
We've never read the book.
I have not, that I'm aware of.
Our reviews are strictly about the movie.
Yeah, but they're focusing on different areas of the movie. So basically, the story is... the parents, I guess, have some sort of powers. They have a baby.
They were experimented on, or
they were experimented on.
I think volunteered
in some weird medical experiments. They have some powers. They have a baby. The baby has the power to start fire with her mind. Fire.
You have the power to start firing my loins.
Wow. Anyways, so of course, since she's a child, she doesn't really know how to control it yet. She gets mad, people burn up, and so that's the story. And the people that researched on them or whatever, they're after her.
It's the same story every time somebody has powers and escapes from a government facility. And
they're after them. Okay, so this new movie kind of gives us, I feel like, more story of the little girl and her parents and the powers and the experiments and what's going on with the people trying to chase them. And the older movie focuses more of they're already on the run, and yeah, they kind of get caught later. So
yeah, in the old movie, it seems like there's a lot more depth to the story in the original movie. It's longer. They take more time on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They do seem to cut away the little elements that we get, because they kind of get them to the credits, understanding about their experimentation and all that kind of stuff.
So we
it's
get
done
more
in dialogue in the second movie.
Yeah, so I kind of liked it in the new movie. We get more of that. We get more understanding of the background, the parents, the experiments, what happened. So I like some of that. I like...
From my understanding, from what I've read from some of the people that are fans of the book, let me just first say that I don't think either movie is that great. I wasn't a fan of the original. When I rewatched it, I just realized I don't think I'd ever watched that movie from beginning to end.
I had never either.
It didn't really change my opinion of it. The new movie I didn't hate either, but I didn't think it was that great either. But from what I've read, most people that I've seen, one of their bigger arguments, they feel like the new movie butchered up the book a lot more. which makes sense because it's a shorter movie than the other
It
ones.
is.
But it's also, there's some stuff out of order in the way the storytelling is told. And I feel like there's some elements that are dragged on in the original movie unnecessarily, but then there's elements in the new movie that feel like we're not being told anything.
Yeah, so I think actually watching them together provided the best.
It became one movie.
Yeah, the best full picture of the story.
So if you want to watch it, watch them together.
Yeah.
I also feel like one of the big issues with the new movie is nobody seemed to really care about anything that's been happening.
Yes.
Like, spoiler, the mom dies. Nobody seems to be overly upset about that once they're away from it. You know what I mean? Like, and I know they do this in movies sometimes. It wasn't both of them really, but the new one especially.
Well, in the new one, there's something that happens where she's like, "Oh, I feel bad about mom,"
and then it's moved on. But then they act like everything's fine now. Then there's also a sequence that's kind of weird with a cat that nobody's overly upset by that either. I know as a viewer you might be, but the people in the movie there's like a throwaway, okay, you did the wrong thing, now don't do that anymore, and then we move on like it didn't happen. So it's almost like that scene. I know the scene was supposed to be showing him try to teach her to take responsibility for the bad actions when she does them, but it also felt like, why is this scene here? You know what I mean? It didn't really move anything with the story. The original one, there's also a separate between David Keith in the original and Zac Efron in this one playing the same character, where Zac Efron is way more of an asshole in this one.
Yeah.
Not reading the book, I don't know if the dad was kind of a jerk already or not, but in the original, he seems way more loving and kind. He has his moments.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that separation was to be like, maybe that was the intent, was his fear and his emotions and his angers for them having to be on the run and them hiding, and then the loss of his wife and the different things that's happened that's making him more and more angry, and his fear is taken over. I don't know. Where the old one, he feels like he doesn't seem to really care about the same thing either. He just wants to protect her and everything else.
He's a more loving father, I feel like. And I was about to tell you, I didn't really care for Zac Efron in this role. I feel like he was, I don't know if it's too young or not rugged enough, or I don't know. I just didn't get the same feeling as I did with the other guy.
He had moments that I thought he was really good, but
not with the girl.
But as a whole, it did feel like, why is Zac Efron in this movie?
Yeah.
Because
I think it should have been someone.
I'll tell you, I have a histove with my feelings of Zac Efron.
I know.
And I used to not like that guy for nothing.
I like him.
But over the last however many years, I've become a fan. I like him and stuff. I think he's good. I think he's really come into his own as a great actor. Especially when he played Ted Bundy or whoever it was, serial killer. I thought he was great in that movie. And I thought like the only moment in this movie that I thought he was just excellent was that end sequence when he tells him to burn it all. Yeah. That moment, like you see the anger and the fear and screw this whole thing. That part I thought was a great scene for him. The rest of the movie was just like, I thought he was fine, but it wasn't.
I just didn't really get him with the little girl, which is the whole point of the movie. Yeah, they're on this trip together, trying to get away from the government, and when the government or whoever finally shows up, it's just.
I think the original movie's end sequence is longer. It's a little cooler to watch when she's going off. Yeah. But it didn't have the impact to me as this new one and the way it kicks off. Like, and I don't know if it's in the book where he pushes her to do something in the book. In the original movie, he didn't push her to do it. He just said, go do it. Mm-hmm. And this one, it felt like he kind of forced her and it made it a little more menacing. Mm-hmm. But then there wasn't the same payoff where the original expanded it. It was a lot of stuff happened. And then the same thing can be said for, I don't know the assassin character's name, but there's I think he's Hispanic. What is it?
Rainbird.
Is it the same in both movies?
Yes.
Okay. Well, George C. Scott does not look like a rainbird, but but both characters, there was that whole long relationship build in the original movie. Yeah. With her and George C. Scott that seemed weird. It didn't seem. It never felt right to me, but not in a way of like it's not supposed to be. He's up to something and whatever. Yeah. It just felt like, what is happening? Why is this okay? And just why is everything so accepting? When the new movie, he's more of like, here I am, and then the next scene, I must help her. It's like there's that whole section's what's gone. Yeah, really is in the new one. Yeah, the relationship build between her and that assassin character that makes the ending make sense.
Well,
You get it with like one piece of dialogue, and
correct.
that's it.
So, for the Rainbird character, I'm glad they went with someone who actually looked like they may be Native American.
Yeah, I agree.
In the new movie. Thank you. Not the dressing up this other. Is he a white man in the
I'm
original?
pretty sure George C. Scott is a white man.
With the long hair to make him look like he's a
George
Rainbird.
C. Scott's eye was cool though.
It was cool.
George C. Scott's a great actor. Don't get me wrong.
I'm glad they did that. But yeah, the whole relationship. Now I'm gonna go to the original. I feel like Drew Barrymore is more endearing in that role than the new girl. But I think it's because in the original movie, she knows about her powers. They're trying to train her. They're trying to teach her, so she has an understanding of what it is. Whereas the new little girl, they're like, "No, don't use your powers."
Well, I disagree on that, and not the
I just love Drew Barrymore.
No, I don't disagree on that element. I agree with you that I think she's more endearing, but I don't agree on why. I think the issue is they made the new little girl menacing. Like every time she gets mad, she's like, "Ugh." Drew Barrymore is always, I don't want to do this. It's always fear. And so you connect with her, like this poor little kid.
Yeah,
where that little girl gets hit in the head with a dodgeball and it's like, and she's ready to wipe everybody out.
You shouldn't hit people in the head.
I know, but I'm just saying she's always instantly ready to wipe everybody out, even if she can't control it.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore does things and she's very like, I don't want it. She's crying when she does it and upset. Yeah. And even at the end,
I think that's why she's endearing.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it works more, not because she doesn't know about her powers.
Little girl.
But I thought the little girl was fine, but I agree. There's
just something that didn't really connect.
There's no connection to any character in that new movie.
And I was like, oh, I'm not going to connect with the old movie because it's like so 80s. But I did. I actually connected more with that than the new one. And the relationship with her and her dad in the original makes more sense than Zac Efron and this little girl. I don't get it. And I think also because it's Heather Locklear. I don't know. The mothers are secondary. I mean,
what about Heather Locklear?
She was getting that.
Oh, she's barely in it.
I know.
You just like the old one because the guy was about America. The farmer.
Yes.
Art Carney.
Well, and I feel like the ending though of that movie makes more sense than the ending of the new one with the Rainbird guy. Like what?
Yeah.
Because like you said, we don't get that relationship in the new one.
No relationship built in the new movie at all.
So I don't know.
Like the relationship doesn't make any sense in the original either, but at least there's something happening. They connect on him being afraid of the dark because he's a POW in Vietnam and things like this. But it's like,
well,
I just laugh because the whole Art Carney talking about the Russians and talking about America. When he comes in, he goes,
"I did like that guy.
Do you have a
warrant?
A warrant?" He goes, "I don't need to have a fair warrant. I'm with the federal government." He goes, "And unless this certainly turned into Russia, you do."
Mm-hmm. So was the original movie a TV movie or
no? I think it was a theatrical film.
Here's the thing.
It feels like a TV movie.
They both seem like TV movies, but I'm going to tell you, I feel like most Stephen King movies do.
Well, I think most movies of the 80s feels like TV movies.
Maybe.
But I agree with you. They feel like chapters.
Yeah.
Because that's just how they're set up.
I
don't think it was a TV movie.
I agree with you. Neither one of them are great.
Yeah.
I was hoping the new one would be really good because of technology and all that, but I feel like the fire stunts in the original were better because it's practical. Like here's
what went wrong in the new one on the fire part. They used a lot of practical fire and that stuff came out cool, but they put that little flash effect trying to make it look more like powers.
Yeah.
And I think that little fake effect didn't blend well with the thing, whereas in the original she just kind of does this. They blew a fan in her face, made her hair do this, and then they lit shit on fire.
Yes.
And
if you notice, there's one scene in the new movie where the little girl goes on fire, but you can tell they just did like one of those straight, like the fire, like a pipe of fire instead of like lighting someone on fire.
Yeah.
Like you can tell the difference. And in the original movie, there were so many people like on fire, like all those people were fire guys
and running around.
Yeah. Like
even though there's a car explosion scene that I love, where it's two people trying to get in the car and the car explodes, you can tell it's two mannequin type dummies. They pose there right before the explosion, but it's like such a great fire explosion.
I don't know, man. Okay, so neither one of them are great. They're okay. If you had to pick one, you pick new little Firestarter girl or Drew Barrymore Firestarter.
If I have to pick one, because I don't think I want to watch either one of them.
I agree, but if you had to,
I guess I would pick the original just because the fire stuff.
I agree.
Because I don't really want to sit through any of those again. This Firestarter, the original Firestarter, like I said, I swore I had seen it. And then when I went back and watched it, I realized I don't think I've seen half this movie. I've only seen the fire parts of it. Because I was kind of bored through all the long diatribes.
Yeah.
I found some of I think George C. Scott's such an amazing actor. I found some of his exchanges with Drew Barrymore kind of interesting at first, and then they kind of just felt creepy and disturbing. And there's a lot of people that are trying to talk about how they tried to take the new one to make it like 11 from Stranger Things, and that's where some of it went wrong. So I don't know. It's like, I don't know how you would feel about it if you're a fan of the book.
Yeah.
Because I also
maybe
know,
that's what. Maybe I need to read the book. Maybe
I also
that's
know a
what's
lot of people
missing.
that say that the original movie didn't do the books much favors either, but it's a little more faithful to the book than the new one.
Yes.
So I don't know.
I mean, the ending is what the book ending is. I've looked that up.
Which one, the new one or the old one?
The old one
is the ending of the book.
Is the ending of the book.
And maybe they did this with the intent that they thought they were going to be able to do a second one, and so they were going to do something with the Songbird or Firebird or whatever his name was.
Rainbird.
Longbird. What is it?
Rainbird.
Rainbird. Because rain puts out fire. Anyway, what I'm probably more shocked than anything about this movie is that they put it in the theaters. It feels like a movie that should be streaming or, like we said earlier, Lifetime. And had it been just that thing, I would have been like, all right, this makes sense to be on this.
I wanted to find the picture of them together.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore had the little girl on her show, and it was kind of a cool video, and they both recreated the same photo, which that part was kind of cool. I mean, you putting it up?
Yeah. I mean, the little girl's fine.
She was okay. I mean, the movie's just not great.
It's just not a great movie. And I guess me too. If I had to pick one to watch, I'm watching the original. Just
I won't watch either one of them again unless they do a Firestarter 2 or let's remake it again.
Yeah.
Then I might rewatch all three of them.
Let's do Firestarter with Drew Barrymore, the age she is now.
They should have had Drew Barrymore come back and play the mom. That would have been cool.
That to me would have
Or
been...
had they repurposed it and made Drew Barrymore the mom who was on the run with a little girl or a little boy, and just changed the whole thing. If you're going to change it anyway, why not change it? Or make Drew Barrymore's character be the little girl grown up, and they do a sequel that way and say, this is a sequel to Firestarter, and here's Drew Barrymore. She grew up. She killed the Songbird or whatever.
Rainbird. She's been on the run.
And now she goes to kill Art Carney, and she goes to kill everybody else, and she just kills everybody with fire for the rest of their life.
Fire.
Or she starts some kind of a grilling business.
She's the inspiration for the song Firewoman from the Cult.
Yes, the whole thing is like a Forrest Gump story. It's a Forrest Gump story where she goes around and people are inspired with different fire-related things. Like a whole grill business things happens. Like you're talking about, songs are getting inspired by her.
Yes.
Anyway, don't watch it. I mean...
it's okay. I would recommend watching both of them, honestly.
If you've never seen either one, I highly recommend you watch. Just watch them both and compare them and have fun comparing them.
Yeah.
Both of them are on Peacock, so you don't have to go to the theaters to watch the new one.
Correct.
We watched them back. I believe it is on the subscription side of Peacock, so you would have to pay for Peacock, which is kind of worth it because it's showing a lot of the Paramount exclusive stuff there, as well as in theaters. But if you really want to go see it, you can go see it at the theater. I think you watch Firestarter, the original on there. You don't think you have that subscription.
Correct.
But I think to watch the original one, you do. So
yeah, there you go.
Firestarter is on Peacock and in theaters now. Decide for yourself. We both thought, whatever. I didn't hate it like some people hated it.
Some people hate it,
but I didn't care either.
Yeah, so, it was fine. I mean, it's not a great movie. It was okay. And I enjoyed that we had our little marathon watching them back to back. It was fine. It was just watch while you're doing something else.
It is what it is. I actually had higher hopes for it when I saw the first trailer, but
I'm just a Drew Barrymore fan, so
I know.
And I think little Drew Barrymore was cute. She grew up and to be a little bit odd.
She is, yeah. She was very cuter when she was a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm a little more of a fan of her now than I had been for quite a while.
Yeah.
Like I liked Poison Ivy, Drew Barrymore, when she was like crazy and showing her boobs all over town, and then I kind of lost interest in her with a lot of those bad romantic comedy things she was doing. And then she's kind of won me over with some of her talk show stuff and interviews she's done.
Seems nice
anyway,
so who knows? All right, moving on to something completely
You do forget how many
different.
iconic movies Drew Barrymore was in as a child.
For real. I mean, that's who was around. But it was her.
Yeah.
So you needed a cute little girl, you called the Barrymores.
Moving on.
All right. Tell me about this movie because I love me some Adrian Brody.
Do you?
I really do.
I didn't think you really liked Adrian Brody.
I really started liking him in that movie, The Piano.
No. Okay.
That was so sad and heartbreaking.
Well, it's the latest movie, Clean, starring Adrian Brody.
It looks like he's shooting up some people.
I believe he also co-wrote it. And he contributed a lot of the soundtrack.
Oh.
Like composing, not like singing and stuff, but I believe it said he composed some of the music for the movie, things like this. Basically, it's kind of another one of those
Oh, the
John
pianist.
Wick,
Sorry, I said piano pianist.
John
Whatever.
Wick, Taken,
You know.
kind of movies where it's kind of a guy you don't know about his past, kind of thing.
Shady.
And this guy, it's a guy named, his name is Clean. He's a trash man.
Oh.
He has a past that you kind of learn about through flashbacks, and there's been some crap happening in his life, and clearly it's something violent, but he's very quiet. It's one of those movies where he has very little dialogue, but says a lot with his face and his mannerisms.
He's just good.
And in the premise, he's trying to just live his life. He's renovating the community, these dilapidated homes on his own time. Like he does his trash man job. Then he goes and picks up paint and other stuff. He starts painting over graffiti, and he's repairing people's stuff. Like it's kind of his way of redemption for whatever he's done. Like it's self-redemption, right?
Okay.
Like he knows he's had a violent past, so now he's trying to give back by doing something good to rebuild things, build things up instead of tearing things down. And then there's he has these. Something happened to his daughter, so he has a lot of flashbacks. He's kind of whacked out about it a little bit. But then there's another person, a young girl in the community that he's kind of friends with the family, who gets in with, she gets involved with some gangbangers and that kind of thing and drugs. And so he ends up, kind of saying, hey, y'all need to leave her alone. It's kind of a thing we've seen before.
Yeah.
Like, you mind your business, white boy.
Yeah.
And then when he finally does she gets in the house, like they're gonna take her advantage of her, and so in the midst of him saving her in a very, very grisly, violent way, he accidentally involves himself against the mob or the crime boss.
Yikes!
Because the crime boss, somebody in relation to the crime boss, happens to be hanging out with these hood people, and so that happens to take the brunt of this guy. He had no idea. So then now the crime boss and those people are trying to kill him.
Oh, great.
And the girl and the mom, because they just want him to suffer. So that's kind of the premise. And then as that unfolds, you see kind of come to terms with what his past is, what the situation is.
Because I see some stuff happening.
And what I like about this movie is kind of slow and methodical, and it's not action-packed. But the moments when they are action-packed, they're dirty, violent, and bloody.
Love it.
And there's not a lot of shooting. Despite this picture with the shotgun, he does have this whole sequence with a sawed-off shotgun that he builds, and he adds things to it to make it shoot bigger things and fire and all this stuff, which is kind of the end of the movie. His weapon of choice is a gigantic Allen wrench. So he beats a lot of people with an Allen wrench. One of those big red plumber style ones.
That's awesome.
So when it's that kind of stuff, and what I liked about this is he's not the kind of guy who is John Wick style, like he's unstoppable. Nice. He gets beaten and hit, but he hits back
because that's realistic.
Yeah,
so I like
and the
that.
fights aren't pretty. They're not, karate fights and whatever. He's cracked somebody over the head with a wrench. He smashes somebody against the walls. They're hitting him, and he's just like pummeling people. So it's one of those kind of things that I really dug this movie. It
sounds fun.
It's dirty. It makes you feel kind of dirty watching it, not because it's like nasty or anything. It's not gory from a standpoint of like there's blood everywhere, but it's blood splattering and stuff. But it makes for dirty because everything's just it's in a dirty area. The blood and grime and the criminal element.
Grimy.
It just makes you watch it. You're just like, ugh. But I really dug the movie. But it is slow paced, so it's one of those that if you can't really sit with it and really kind of follow his journey, it can lose you. Because it does take a while for anything to really happen outside of him just interacting with people. But the interaction parts are very important because it shows his importance to these characters, the community, and why he would even stand up for somebody.
Yeah.
They become part of it because the first few times you see him, it's like you see him at work, then you see him go buy paint, and this lady talks about his sandwich, and he's like, oh, I'll get you a next sandwich, which kind of sets him, okay, they clearly talk about the sandwich or whatever often. He has a barber he talks to that he seems to share with, who's played by Bubba from Bubba Gump.
Bubba Gump?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're talking about their lives, and he's talking about, he's kind of his buddy that's uplifting him or whatever, So you see all these relationships and then see how he kind of goes off the rails. So it's interesting, but it's available now on, I believe it now. or is it this week? Last week. Yeah, it's available now on Blu-ray DVD. I like that. I like Adrian Brody too.
Yeah, I do.
He's one of those guys that kind of can chameleon into a role.
Yeah, because like I like him too in like Predators, which is completely different from The Pianist. I mean,
right. Well, and I never looked at him
things.
as like an action guy until Predators.
Yeah,
but he's done stuff.
He's good.
But he's one of those actors that's like he can be in the most Oscar-y type art film, and then be in something like this is just like gritty, dirty, and he fits in all of it.
Yeah, he's so good.
He's also one of the few guys that looking at him, you wouldn't think, but I could picture him also as like a rap guy. I can picture him as a gang member. I can picture him as
like Jesus,
just somebody's dad. I'm just saying, just somebody's dad.
Yeah,
you know, because if he takes away,
I wish he'd do like a little romantic comedy. Maybe I think he has, and I've missed it.
But if you take him and you clean him up from this image, you take his beard off of him. You give him like a normal Leave It to Beaver style haircut. He just looks like your everyday Joe.
See, and I feel like this, he could be Jesus.
But if you slap a bunch of tattoos on him, you get the beard back on him, he looks like he would kill your whole family.
Yeah.
Like I like those chameleon type actors. I think Edward Norton's the same kind of way.
Where is he from?
Cleveland.
No, I don't know that. I just wonder. I mean, not that it matters, but it's interesting. He's from New York.
From what?
New York, but I wonder.
Did you say New York? He looks so New York.
But I wonder what his heritage is because he looks European.
He's big time Jewish.
Is he?
I believe so, but I could be wrong. I thought I read that somewhere.
Best actor nominee.
Anyway,
of course he's a best actor.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, we have one. He has the same birthday as Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh well.
Hey. All right. Last movie of the night, y'all. As soon as I saw this was available on Netflix, I'm like, this movie's on Netflix. Let's watch it. So it's the new movie with a very slimmed down Rebel Wilson.
I guess this is the first time we're really seeing her now that she's in her new body.
I do think it takes a minute to get used to the visual of.
It's really just her face.
Yeah, because she's not Fat Amy anymore.
No.
And she's like, my name was never Fat Amy. It's Fat Patricia. Anyways,
when she said that
at the very end, she's like, "My name's not Fat Amy." No, in the singing movie, she's like, "My name's not Fat Amy. It's Fat Patricia."
Oh, I don't remember that.
Anyways, it's like one random thing. Anyways, yeah, her face is different, obviously, because when you lose weight, your face slims down, and so I think that took a second to get used to. I mean, she looks the same pretty much, but
I do like that she's not trying to do something about look at me, I'm skinny.
No,
because a lot of these people they take a role that's polar opposite of anything they would do when they lose a lot of weight or they gain a lot of weight. This still feels like a movie she would have been in.
Yeah, either way.
And even though they you would have been like, wait, what? But it still feels like her.
It's still very much her. I like her. So, anyways,
was she the one that? Oh, I'm sorry. Was she the one that was in the movie about the lady that hits her head in the fashion industry? Was that her too?
Yes.
So it's almost the same idea, but
falls
this time
in love with.
But now she thinks she's beautiful or she's
hot.
Yes,
that movie.
Okay, because see, that's what I'm saying. Is this movie's kind of the same idea, but in a different direction?
Yeah.
So she could play because she was so big in that other movie.
Yeah, but
she could play the same character, but you don't even question like why would somebody be hot for her? She's this big fat woman, and the sexy guy's like you never really question that because it's just like.
Because it's not
enduring.
Because I think that's one of the things we've talked about. It doesn't really matter your size. It's the way you present yourself.
Lizzo's too much, but don't be
the way you present yourself and how you like. I'm chunky, but I am sexy as hell. That's the truth.
I'm fat and I'm a monster.
No, I think you're cute. Look at your face. Look at your cute little face. And the best thing are you sexy legs. That's why I married you. Thick ass
glasses she's had.
Whatever. I'm chunky, but I'm sexy. So there you go.
She got big ass glasses. She can't see.
I thought you just had a big ass.
All right, so you have that too. So tell everybody what this movie's about.
Okay, so basically, it is about a girl who suffers a cheerleading accident and is in a coma for like 20 years, 25 years.
It is a ridiculous premise that works.
Absolutely ridiculous. She's like, I'm going to go back to high school and finish senior year.
Because I think she had like 3 months left, and that's how much left was when she woke up.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, and they let her back in school, which would not happen. You would never have like a nearly 40-year-old person or 35 or whatever allowed to be
and her two best friends as a kid are the principal and the librarian at the school now. So it's all like, there's a lot of cliche elements that you just have to let go for this kind of silly comedy. And I'll tell you this, if you don't like Rebel Wilson and anything else, you're not going to like her.
You're not going to like it because she is her.
She's typical Rebel Wilson, and I find her hilarious.
I do too. I was cracking up at this movie.
She can be too much sometimes, but I don't find her too much when she's in her own thing.
because she's doing. And what I think I really liked was the other girl, Angerie Rice, who we've seen before in
Spider-Man. She's
Spider-Man.
Betty Brant.
Yes.
Yeah. She's the reporter the one that hooks up with his friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's actually Australian too.
Yes. So she
plays the teenage version of her.
Yeah, she gets her mannerisms down perfect.
Yeah, because she's like, bye. But she also said something. It was something.
She said something that sounded like Rebel Wilson saying it.
The mannerisms and the way she talks and everything, it's exactly the same, and I loved it. So this movie's hilarious. I don't care what anyone says. If you like it or not, you're dumb.
And
it's fun.
one of the things I always love in these kind of it's a stupid movie.
It's stupid, but it's funny.
But it's hilarious. But one of the things I love in these kind of movies is when it's the fish out of water mentality, and she's been under so long, she has to learn about
the internet,
what works, what doesn't work, and
Phones.
Also, like the lady, her friend's watching something on her phone like this. She goes, "Oh, is that a little TV?
A mini TV?"
But even more so, this was a good chance on how to interject the things that are okay and not okay to say from the 80s or the 90s and now.
Yes.
So saying things like, "Oh, that's so gay" or retarded, and then them telling her, "Hey, you can't say those words anymore. It's not okay unless you're this," and seeing how the different mentality of bullying and stuff, which normally I'm against all that because it just seems that it still is forced and annoying. But it actually plays into a big portion of the story later of one of the kind of villain characters, if you will, who very easily is accepting because the mentality is the way a lot of the people are now of anti-bullying and having this. And it's the old school people that are the problem. And that's kind of what it is now in real life, too. But even though I think there's too much silliness.
In addition to that, I think she's learning that, make new friends. But she changes that.
Old. One is silver, others gold. Go ahead.
So one of her goals now that she's back is to, make more friends and be popular. Well, she changes that and she's like, get new followers because now it's social media. Yeah. So she's learning that it's not, go talk to whoever. It's like they need to follow you and then you're popular. Yeah. So that whole thing of social media, and it's interesting because we've lived through all this. The change and just being reminded of it. Like people don't go and talk to you anymore. It's like, oh, follow me or DM me or whatever. And that's how you make friends or that's how you become popular. Speaking of which,
make sure you follow all of our pages.
Yeah,
on
go
Instagram
follow us right
Twitter.
now. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Go search for @HollywoodMatrimony. Thank you.
Now back to the show.
Yeah, but let me go put up a banner like go follow us. Please like, share, subscribe, follow. But yeah, so it's interesting to see that evolution, and how I think when we were younger, obviously it was easier because you could just go talk to people.
But it was harder.
In a way, it was
harder because it was harder to talk to somebody face to face. Which is, if you flip that on like all the politics stuff and the Black Lives Matter and the racial stuff and the sexuality stuff, it's easier to have that invisible voice on the internet that you wouldn't say to someone's face.
I'll say it to their face. Girl.
And that's the same idea as making friends. It's hard to say something to somebody's face, but it's easier for you to reach out to them and have a random conversation. Be like, even text somebody on the phone and say, hey, I'm glad you came to dinner. It was really nice seeing you. And then it turns into a conversation. So the next time you talk to them, you feel like you've already been in a conversation. Yeah. Where before we had to go up to be like, I'm so glad you came to dinner. And then it's weird for the first 15 minutes. And then you either find your place or you're both like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I
mean, there's that upside and downside to the mentality of social media and the internet, because I think and this movie is actually a good example because it sets up the benefits of it.
Yeah.
But it also shows how it's hurt things.
Yes.
Because it does make us less. It was something that was perfect for when we had the lockdown. No matter what you feel about the pandemic, social media and technology saved a lot of companies, saved a lot of relationships. Like we're able to sit. There's a ton of people we know that sat around being like, I haven't seen people. Oh, and I understand that, but we were like, we still saw people. We just had Zoom dinners.
Yeah, we had Zoom dinner with our friends. I mean,
so maybe I can't touch you, but I don't want you touching me anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't have touched you anyway.
So it's I
would have just been sitting across the table.
It did make it easier to kind of keep life going as normal and order food online and make phone calls and do stuff. But at the same time, you also have to, with that good stuff, you have to deal with the people that like attacking and badgering, whether it's a movie or politics or whatever it is. And it's kind of that double-edged sword, and this movie deals with a lot of those elements without it feeling like it's trying to crowbar its message.
Yeah,
because she's us not understanding why things are the way they are.
yeah, and
You
I can
know?
see both sides, and it's interesting because now it's an interesting perspective and look at parents who are our age dealing with, you know, we didn't have all the technology, dealing with now teenagers in this age that everything is technology, and it's not even the truth. Like everything they're consuming in their brains is not even real. A lot of it's so fake. And the friendships sometimes are and the following and all that, like it doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah.
It's not like building a human relationship with someone.
But I do think it makes it easier.
It's a very interesting look at
that separation of the relationships that I think were really, really awkward when we were younger, and even our parents, where you have the real relationships and friendships and things you talk to. Then you have your work acquaintances or
their separation,
soccer team acquaintance, whatever. Your social media, you can associate with those people and have chats with them and talk to them, but you don't really hang out with them.
Correct.
Like I have a lot of friends on social media that I'm friends with, convention world, martial arts world, whatever. I will never see them in person.
Correct.
Except at those events.
Well, and anytime we've had a party with all these people, everybody separates into their groups.
Yeah.
Your comic people go here, our karate people are here, your art people are there, and then we try to go sit with them, and then they migrate. And I'm like, okay, well.
And we always try to do some.
I'm like, hi, have you met my friends?
Some of them become friends, and some of them are like, what is wrong with those people? And which I find fun too, because I have one friend, I'm not going to say any names, you know exactly who it is, who doesn't like any other friend that I have.
Only you.
He only wants me as his friend, and he does not want to share me. And you may think that seems just very...
But that's your best friend.
He's somebody I've known him. You just gave away who it was.
Oh.
Yeah, but I've known him.
One of your...
He's not on social media. His husband might see this.
That's fine.
But I've known him since...
But you have several like best friends of different genre, I guess.
He's my oldest friend I've known since I was in 4th grade. He was in 5th grade. But yeah, I have really close friends. I have one very close friend, Scott from martial arts, who's probably one of my closest friends, even though Wendy's probably the next closest one in that circle. Then I have my comic friends, and kind of like you have no friends. Nobody likes you.
I only have like 3 or 4 friends, but we talk like every single day. So that's a whole different thing.
Some of the people that you're really good friends with are people I'm really good friends with. I'm just not part of your talk conversation.
This one doesn't like group chat.
I don't like group chat.
And I told the other group that you didn't like it, and they're like, I've taken Bobby off the group chat. Sorry.
Oh, did they? Oh,
yeah,
good. That's why I didn't
notice
the one for this weekend?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't know, because I'm like, my problem with the group chat is I don't like talking to a bunch of people at once online because I don't know who I'm answering.
It tells you their name.
I know, but I'm busy. I have to be like
this guy.
Because what happens is I'll look at it and I'll be like, who the hell said that? And then I'm scrolling for 15 minutes trying to figure out because it's also I got somebody they'll spend 15 minutes cracking a fart joke about something, and I got to scroll through their whole fart joke to find out what the question was that I was supposed to answer. And then I finally get it. I scroll it back down. And then I answer it, and somebody will be like, we already answered that. I'm like, whatever, I'm moving on.
Well, you reply to that message and start the reply.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, you need to check out the movie Senior Year. It is available right this minute on Netflix. Go watch it. Grab you some popcorn. It will be so much fun.
It's fun. It's stupid. And it's partially a musical.
Yes, there's some dancing.
There's one kid. I want to give the one kid credit. There's one
that
gay friend in it that is hilarious.
I don't even know if he's really gay.
I don't know if he's really gay, but he's the gay friend in the movie. But he's like hilarious.
He's like super over the top fun.
He reminded me of the one that's in
yes, Joshua Colley.
He reminded me of the guy that was similar to him in that one that comedy slasher flick. Oh, what the hell is it called? With Vince Vaughn.
Yes, where he's like, oh,
that
I
guy,
don't do that.
He reminded me of that guy too. And
but this guy's a theater guy.
Well, I gathered that because the way he acted, he seemed to be somebody like
Les Mis,
because he was very physical.
Yes,
in his comedy and stuff.
Well, and at one point he's like, oh,
yeah,
and I was like, okay.
And here's the thing: is he wasn't funny because he was gay.
No,
he was funny because of his mannerisms,
funny.
And he was one of those gay characters. But it can be any character who is clearly there's no issues with who he is. This is me, and he's going to be that to the whole thing. And most of his stuff is like these very subtle moments.
Yes,
because they say something about don't blow the dad. You blow dad. He's like, good to know. It's such a throwaway.
Just random one-liners, but it's funny.
And the funniest line,
so cute.
The whole movie. So one of the things that always gets me with comedy is trying to figure out really what's going to set her off laughing.
Random things.
And it's always the most random joke. And in this time, it's a Mr. T joke.
She's like, pity the fool. Do you pity the
Because
fool?
I'll tell you the joke.
He's like, I don't think I understand that reference.
I'll tell you the joke. It's not even a spoiler of the movie. This character introduces himself to her as Mr. whatever his name is that starts with a T, and he goes, some people, they just call me Mr. T. And she goes, is it because you pity the fool? And this is what happened.
Because he's like, I don't think I understand that reference, but
he goes, I guess I say it now.
I say it now. I pity the fool.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh my gosh.
She was rolling, and of course I'm rolling at her. The joke was funny the way it's executed.
I'm gonna have to watch it again.
But she wasn't even watching the show. She was unlocking the door or locking the door, so she was away from the TV. And this cackle that you just heard come flying across the living room because of that joke. And I'm like,
T.
all I could say was like, that's what got you.
I like Mr. Remember when I made the maraca and called them B.A. maracas?
Oh my God, that was.
I love Mr. T.
You clearly love Mr. T's
I do.
humor.
I pity the fool.
Yeah, so we were at Alcon and she made a maraca in the art room, and she was calling it B.A. maracas.
B.A. maracas.
She put a little mohawk.
I did. It's
America.
Great. Anyways, yeah, that little boy's only done like theater and some voiceover. Like he hasn't done very much.
I guess the voice on Peter Rabbit.
You know what? He is the cutest little boy.
He was excellent.
Super cute and so funny, and just he is the physical comedy and the one-liners and his timing is so good.
Yeah, I hope he does a lot more.
Love him. Love you, little kid.
Anyway, this movie was stupid fun.
So fun.
If you hate Rebel Wilson, you'll hate this movie.
But you don't, because you're not that.
If you like just fun comedies, it almost was like a homage to 80s, 90s high school comedies, but with that 13 going on 30 twist vibe, but with an old lady at school.
Did you do a review? Did I miss it?
I did not.
Oh, well, let me just post a link to.
So anyway, you should check it out. It's on Netflix now.
There you go.
What else we got?
That's it.
That's it.
All right. So you tell me something.
So this week's kind of finally a bigger week for for Blu-rays and stuff. We have Beverly Hills Cop 2 is getting the 4K treatment. They've already put the first one out on 4K, so good luck on that. There's a lot of 4Ks. When The Craft is getting the 4K treatment, the original one, not the remake or the sequel or whatever it is.
Didn't they just release a version of that recently?
I'm sure they did. They probably
just watched it.
I think they put out a Blu-ray. I think Shout Factory put out a Blu-ray.
Because we watched it this past year.
Yeah, but I think this is a different variation for 4K. Escape from New York's getting a new 4K release with the original with Kurt Russell.
Nice.
The movie Slasher Flesh and Blood, which is a Shudder. It's a series. Excuse me. The Shudder series is coming out, and I think it's another one of those. If I'm not mistaken, I thought it was like an anthology, but I could be wrong. I haven't watched it. There's a movie called A Day to Die that stars Frank Grillo and Bruce Willis.
I love him.
And
Kevin
Dillon, Matt Dillon's brother from Entourage.
I never took this post. I'm sorry.
The movie Licorice Pizza that was nominated for an Academy Award is coming out.
We never watched that. We need to get caught up.
Yeah, we'll probably have to go rent that on the line.
On the line.
To me. The movie Infinite, which is Mark Wahlberg and Dylan O'Brien and Chelueta Willifar, and it was a movie that ended up during the pandemic, came straight to Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
It is now available. It was all right. It was decent sci-fi flick.
Fine.
I personally think in that movie that Dylan O'Brien and Mark Wahlberg should have flipped. And I think it would have been a better movie.
Yeah.
Not because Mark Wahlberg is bad. I just felt like his age was a little older for that, and he would have made sense to the other character more. But Mark Wahlberg is a bigger star.
There you go.
But if rumor is true, Dylan O'Brien is going to explode. If you don't know Dylan O'Brien, he's the guy from Teen Wolf, Maze Runner, stuff like that. He did that cool movie, American Assassin or whatever it was with him and Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
But rumors
Such a cool kid.
Rumors right now is, and strictly rumors.
Let's go look.
There's no truth to anything, but there is rumors that he may be one of the front runners to take over Ezra Miller as the Flash, because Ezra Miller's probably on his way out with all his drama. We'll see what happens.
He's got a lot coming out.
Oh, he's in the outfit.
The outfit's so good in that too.
Yeah. So
Infinite Flashback. Love and Monsters. That was good. You just need to watch him. He's so good.
Is that the Val Kilmer Top Secret movie getting a re-release? I need a copy of that. Oh, it sure is. Top Secret with Val Kilmer. Have you never seen that? It's like a spoof movie. It's a great stupid movie. It's kind of like Airplane kind of thing. It's getting a Blu-ray release. So anyway, it says Val Kilmer and Omar Sharif.
I love me some Omar Sharif.
Anyway, that's what's happening.
All right. What's coming out at the theater or online? Tuesday, there's a movie coming to Video Demand and Digital called Echo. It's about this guy named Michael whose hiding out after his previous work as a covert assassin, and things go awry because his past gets exposed. Coming out Thursday on Netflix, a movie called The Perfect Pair. It's Victoria Justice.
Pairing.
Oh, The Perfect Pairing.
Oh,
Thank
my son
you.
likes Victoria Justice.
Victoria Justice. I don't know.
I have to tell him about her because she used to do that show, Victoria Justice, whatever it was called on
Disney, whatever,
Nickelodeon or something.
So
Victorious. That's what it was called. Victorious.
Yes, so there you go. Also coming to Netflix, this seems more our speed. The Photographer, Murder in Pinamar. It's based on the true story of a photographer, a reporter that was killed in 1997 in Argentina. And you know, reporters, they're supposed to be safe wherever they go. So this was a crazy one because it ends up being the organized crime in the country, like the crime boss things got involved. So we'll have to watch this. It's very interesting. Okay, coming out Friday, those of you who are interested in this, the new Downton Abbey movie, A New Era. So that's coming out at theaters.
Oh, I want to see that one. Is that limited?
It's limited. Right now. Coming out on Disney Plus. This guy right here is excited for.
Am I?
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
I'm not excited for this.
I don't know if you guys used to watch Chip and Dale.
Chip and Dale. I want to say that I thought this was a stupid idea for a movie, but I'm actually intrigued because if you haven't seen the trailer, you have one that looks like the original cartoon. The other one's a CGI. And the premise is the cartoon was a TV series like we all watched, but they were the stars of the show. And this is years after.
This is now their real life.
One of them got CGI surgery, so now he looks like a more current rendition. The other one's, and then one of them's going to conventions and he's famous. They're trying to get him back together, but it also has older versions of the other characters in Disney and stuff. So it's like an adult Peter Pan he looks like an alcoholic, but he's still wearing the Peter Pan outfit.
It's funny.
I think if it's going to work, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be.
If it doesn't work, it's going to be
Seth Rogen and Keegan-Michael Key, so I'm already in.
Yeah, it's going to be either be really awesome and fun, or it's going to be a train wreck.
Coming out also on video demand and digital, a movie called Machination. This is a pandemic-based movie, so if that's still difficult for you, you may not want to watch it. But it's about the mass panic that ensues because it's an out-of-control pandemic. There is no vaccinations. There's nothing for this. It's like out of control. The world's out of control. And people dealing with the anxiety of isolation and the world ending. So this could be a triggering movie for some people. So just know that. Coming to Hulu, a movie called The Valet. Samara Weaving.
Is neither one of the movies we're seeing this week out this week?
I don't think so.
Man.
But this one is the one I want to watch. This is Eugenio
Best
This
Best
guy.
Friends.
Yes.
Yeah. It's on Hulu, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming to Hulu. I'm excited. It's Samara Weaving, Max Greenfield, and Eugenio Derbez.
I like Samara Weaving. You know who that is?
It's the girl from
Ready or Not.
Yes.
It's the one that's not Margot Robbie.
Not Margot Robbie. But I like her.
Yeah, I do too.
Anyway, so I'm excited to see this because it looks like he's the driver.
It looks like Marry Me, but in a different.
And he kind of makes a friendship.
It looks like Marry Me.
Yeah, so he gets into a friendship with her.
But we like him.
I love him. So and he was in the Coda movie, and so he's a
music teacher.
He's an Oscar award.
Before we go to the next one, I forgot I wanted to throw this movie out there. I'm not going to go into big diatribe about this movie, but I always like to. If I come across a movie, I don't get a chance a lot to watch just random movies. I usually have to watch something I have to review. This was a movie I wanted to watch way back when it came out in 2017, and I just passed it on Netflix. So I got excited. So one night when I was working, I watched it. It's a movie called Shot Caller. It was made in 2017. The premise is what's crazy about it. So I'm going to read this basic synopsis, and then I'm going to kind of tell you the real synopsis of it. So it says a newly released prisoner is forced by the leaders of his gang to orchestrate a major crime with a brutal rival gang on the streets of Southern California. So, and then I'm going to show you the poster. I'm just going to show her because I want her thoughts. Here's the poster.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So, what would you think about this guy? If the poster's guys tattooed on criminals, what do you think he went to prison for?
Probably some gang-related killings. Or
Here's
shootings.
what's really interesting about this movie. So the bigger synopsis, and this is what I thought was so intriguing: a white-collar business professional, happily married, accidentally commits a crime, and he's sentenced to prison. So what happens is while he's in prison, he ends up becoming part of this gang. and he ends up getting tatted up. So the movie is told in like kind of an out of order thing. Like first time you see him in prison, but he's like a high up in this Aryan biker criminal organization. And it's got him and John Bernthal and some other people. And then you start learning like through flashbacks that it was just this normal businessman in a suit, and his crime was like, I think he was in a car accident with him and his wife, another couple, but they had been drinking. And what his friend died in the thing. So he went to prison for involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
And while he's in prison, one of the African-American people kind of stepped to him and he just hits the guy and jumps on him. So the Aryan guys see him, pull him in. It's kind of a protection.
But I mean, you have to in prison. You got to watch yourself.
What is his name from the show we used to watch all the time?
Lincoln Burrows.
No.
I'm trying to think prison movies.
No, it wasn't a prison movie. The guy, Burn Notice.
Oh, Michael Schofield.
Yes. No, Michael Schofield is not Burn Notice.
Isn't it?
No, Michael Schofield is from Prison Break as well.
Oh, Jeffrey Donovan.
But he's the guy that pulls him in. He's like the boss in prison as the Aryan guys.
I love him too.
And so he's like, it's one of those things that like, we're in your protection. And then of course, as it unfolds.
Michael Weston. Sorry.
Yes, you're seeing the story out of when he's out of prison and what he's having to deal with. But then it's flashing back showing how he went from this clean cut guy to this hardened criminal who's now doing gun trading and killing people. And was just a kind of a gritty, interesting film that you're just looking for something different. It's older. It's on
I
Netflix.
Posted it in the comments.
Yeah, check it out. I liked it. I thought the movie was good. I liked it, but I like that kind of crap. Anyway, for contests this week, we don't have a lot of new stuff. I do expect some of the stuff this week. I expect a fairly big one this week if they actually send it to me. I haven't even told her, but I'll tell y'all later.
Okay.
But of course, we still have some of the 645 copies. We have a movie called Row 19, Evil at 30,000 Feet. The movie Invincible, which has got Marco Zerrar in it, so I'm always a supporter, even though it's kind of a ripoff of Blind Fury. Not Blind Fury. Oh, crap. What is the name of that? Silent Fury with Chuck Norris. It's a horror film. The Green Mile.
Such 4K a good movie. Still.
The Long Night, it's another horror film, and the 4K of Singing in the Rain, which she thought was hilarious if this was put together.
Yeah, Long Night and Singing in the Rain.
They're the exact same movie.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's all we have going on right now.
All right. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Don't forget to click the contest button for all the free stuff. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We will see you next Sunday.
And rest in peace, Remo Williams.
Peace be with you guys.